This day is a day of information and celebration. And I'm asking, similarly, like I said in the prayer, that the information that's gained today, that we don't hold it hostage. Get it, share it, spread it. Impact 100, the main purpose of it is to make an impact. The goal is usually minimum of 100 individuals. And so we want to just, as a church, address things spirit, soul, and body. We preach, we teach, we worship, but then there are also some natural things that we have to handle and address. And the information that we're going to receive today is so important, especially when you consider the state of our country. Without going into politics, but right now more than ever, people need to gain information, the right information, and utilize it. So I'm going to hand things further over back to Dolores so we can go further into the program. But I celebrate each of you and take the information. Don't just hold on to it, use it.
Now I'm going to introduce our speakers, and they can share more of their career history with you. Our first speaker is going to be Alicia Henry. She's from Department of Family and Social Services. Is it Social Services?
Senior Services.
Senior Services, okay. Department of Family and Senior Services. And she's going to be our first speaker. Mr. Derek Giffen. I know it's easy to say Griffin, but Mr. Derek Giffen, he's from the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County. And then we have Ms. Ruby Ferguson, who's from the Greater Chicago Food Depository. Mr. Giffen, first of all, is going to be sharing some great resources for our veterans. And then Ms. Ferguson will be sharing some resources about benefits, public benefits, what's coming down the pipe, unfortunately. So stick around, don't leave, because this information is extremely, extremely important. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our first presenter, Ms. Alicia.
All right. I am so grateful to be here with you all today. I just want to thank Ms. Gladys for the special invite. A lot of times we in the community and we're not always aware of all the opportunities, all the resources, and all of the people that we can touch and serve. And so I am just so grateful to the pastor, to all of you all for inviting me here today to be able to connect with you all. And so, like Ms. Dolores said, my name is Alicia Henry, and I have the pleasure of serving as the regional director for the southeast side of Chicago. And so when you think about our department, it is Department of Family and Support Services. And so we service from youth all the way to older adults that are 60 and better. But my particular position, I serve older adults 60 and older. In some cases, it could be 55 and older, depending on the services or resources. But as the regional director, I oversee 5 sites. The regional center is the Southeast Atlas Senior Center. And so at that particular center, it is operated and owned by the city of Chicago. We have 4 satellite centers that I oversee that assist in the community to support older adults on the southeast side of Chicago. So I have had the pleasure of being the regional director. It'll be 3 years this December. And so I am just elated because we have reestablished, revamped, and rebuilt all of the programs, activities, and services within our region. And so we are thriving. We are really touching the lives of older adults and connecting them to resources, keeping them educated, knowledgeable, opportunities such as this, bringing in the resources, making sure we're having a safe and fun environment for our older adults. And so one of the things that I always say in my center is that we party with a purpose. And so you're going to come have a great time, but we're also going to connect you with the correct resources and bring in the education to keep you all knowledgeable. The whole goal of the City of Chicago Senior Services Division is to make sure that we are addressing the diverse needs of older adults and then their caregivers. So a lot of times caregivers are caring for loved ones. They feel obligated, but they also are not aware that there's resources to help support them while they're supporting their loved ones. And so we want to make sure that we are connecting caregivers that are supporting their loved ones with the resources such as respite care. If you need a break, sometimes you want to take a vacation, you need time for yourself to balance out your life. And so respite care can be a support system so that your loved one is taken care of while you're taking care of yourself as well. There's also caregiver support groups. So a lot of times caregivers are in it alone. And a lot of times it is beneficial to be able to connect with others and be able to vent or even talk about some of the challenges that you may be facing. And there's resources. So on November 6th, we're bringing in Chicago Commons, who supports our zip code area for caregiver services. And they'll be on site at the Southeast Atlas Senior Center providing caregiver support services for those who are caring for the loved ones. And one of the things that we sometimes fail to realize is that it can be very challenging. It can be tiring 24/7 when you are caring for someone else. And again, as much as we love our loved ones and we are obligated to care for them, sometimes there's other resources that may be more beneficial for them. And so we definitely, if you're interested, if you know anyone, you can definitely come into our center, or I can contact you with our senior service hotline numbers so that you're able to make those referrals to get those particular services. And there's also training and education. So even though we're caring for our loved ones, a lot of times we're not equipped or educated to really take care of some of their medical needs, some of the challenges that may come with their medical conditions, like Alzheimer's or dementia, things of that nature. And so one of the things, if you're going to care for your loved one, we definitely should have wraparound services. Make sure that you're educated, make sure you're aware of different symptoms, of different triggers, so that you're able to better take care of your loved ones. And so these are some of the services that the City of Chicago provides for caregivers, but then for older adults that are 60 and older, we have chore services. So let's just say that you live independently in your home, and sometimes it can be a little difficult doing some of the day-to-day chores for your home. And so there are chore services, light duties as well as heavy duties. There may be some items that you want to be removed out of your home. You need someone to come and do a deep cleaning. Those are services, the referrals that you can put in with the City of Chicago as well. A lot of times older adults, grandparents, or older adults may be caring for their grandchildren or younger youth. And so there are services, a lot of times you raise them, but you may not have guardianship, or you're helping and assisting family members raise their children. And there are support systems like funding, it's called gap filling funds. You are helping pay for student fees and summer camps and things of that nature, using gas to go pick them up and things of that nature. There are gap filling funds, there are support groups, there's educational programs for those who are caring for younger youth that are under 18 as well. But if they're disabled, you're able to get those services as well as long as they're under 59 years old. And then we kind of sort of move into like our elderly rights, legal services, protection, and advocacy. And so we have adult protective services. So if you're residing in your home and you know someone that's living in their home and there's some challenges maybe with caregivers or family members maybe abusing their financial income, or may not be treating them the way that they should be treated, you can put in a referral so that we can have investigators go out and look into these situations to make sure that they're being treated the proper way, okay? And so we want to make sure that when sometimes people have good intentions, and then sometimes there's other motives. And so we want to make sure if older adults are residing on their own and they're not in a capacity to be able to advocate for themselves, we do have those particular services. Then we go into like our benefit access program. It's called the BAA. And this particular service allows older adults and those who are deemed disabled to receive a free bus card through RTA, and then also a discount through the state of Illinois, Secretary of State, where you can get a discount on your license plate stickers, and then the fee is only $10. And so if you are eligible for the program, it is an income-based program if you're 65 and older. If you're under 65, you have to be deemed disabled, and this particular application can be completed on site at the Southeast Atlas Senior Center, or you can contact our senior service hotline number as well. If you have an older adult that may be, it's a very complex situation, you just really don't know how to help them, we have what's called case management program that could come out and give them very intense case management to be able to connect them with the right resources, give them wraparound services, and so that is another referral that can be submitted. Ombudsman program, so if you have a loved one that's living in a long-term care facility and you are concerned about some of the services, or you just have questions about how they're being treated in the facility, all the residents have rights, and so we want to make sure that you all are aware that you can call our Ombudsman program team and have someone go out, investigate, and advocate on behalf of the resident that is residing in a long-term care facility. And then we can also get into our congregate dining program. So we have home delivered meals. So for those who are eligible for the program, you can put in a referral to have home delivered meals brought to your home, or you can stop into one of our senior centers, and we serve lunch daily, Monday through Friday. Normally the hours are from 11:30 to 12:30, and it is a suggested donation of only $2. So you give what you can up to $2, and so that you know, Monday through Friday you can get a full meal at one of our senior centers, and there are 21 centers within the city of Chicago. So for those who may be in need, we have those programs available. Now to the fun part. So one of the things that we also do, we have life enrichment programs at our centers. So like I said earlier, we always party with a purpose. We do invite everyone that is 60 and older. If you are not already a member of the Best Senior Center on the southeast side of Chicago, I definitely invite you guys to stop by, fill out a free membership application. We have daily activities. Each day it is eventful, it's very fun, from bingo to bridge, bid whiz. We have pool tables, we have fitness classes that are led by trained fitness instructors. We also have a choir, drawing, painting. Besides our daily activities, we have special programs. And so we bring in resources, we have lunch and learns, we have presentations, we have discussions. We bring in vendors so that you guys are connected with the different programs and services and giveaways. But we also have wonderful parties that we try to celebrate each other and just enjoy life. One of the things a lot of people think about older adults, like you guys are not as active as you really are. And so at our center, our seniors are very vibrant, they're very active, they're very lively, I should say. And so it is always a fun time. And so I do invite you all to join us. We have karaoke. This week, Friday, we have our Pink Day, which we're going to celebrate breast cancer awareness, and Sisters Working It Out will be hosting that discussion. And then we have health and literacy programs as well with our wellness team. We have a wellness nurse, a social worker, a dietitian that comes to our center. And then we're going to have a wonderful party. On October 30th, we're going to have a Back to the 70s party. So it's going to be a Soul Train 70s disco party. So you guys can come dressed up, have a wonderful time. We're going to have a DJ. The famous Southeast Atlas Soul Train line is one of the key things that our seniors really love. And so it is, we have built a very special community. Our seniors there are very welcoming. We have different activities and programs that you can join in and feel welcome to be a part of our wonderful community at the center. It is my second home, literally, and I enjoy what I do, but most of all, I enjoy the people that I serve. And so the seniors make the center, and I really enjoy the work that I do. It is not easy, and it is, it can be a lot, but I enjoy being able to put in the work that I do for the people that I serve. And so when I have seniors that are explaining to me that I've given them their life back because they've connected with each other, they have a community, they have people that they look forward to seeing and participate in different activities and programs, it is very, very fulfilling for me to be able to know that the call that I've answered is being fulfilled to those who I'm serving. So again, if you are not a member of the Best Center on the Southeast side of Chicago, we welcome you to join us at the Southeast Atlas Senior Center and become a part of our wonderful community.
Our next speaker is Mr. Derek Giffen. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. Again, my name is Derek Giffen. I'm a Veterans Service Officer. Quick introduction. I was raised in Northwest Indiana. I joined the U.S. Army in 2000, served from 2000 to 2005, served in both Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. After my enlistment, I went to Purdue Calumet in Hammond, Indiana. I think it's now Purdue Northwest, but got a degree in political science and history. And after graduating in 2009, I took a job working for the Veterans of Foreign Wars at the Chicago VA Regional Office on Damon and Taylor over by Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. Worked for the VFW as Assistant Department Service Officer for 5 years. Then I was promoted to Director of that office and served as Director of the VFW for a further 8 years. After I left the VFW, I got a job working for the Department of Veterans Affairs for their public contact team. I did a lot of the same stuff for the VA that I did for the VFW as a Veterans Service Officer. I primarily help veterans file for VA disability benefits, other VA benefits. We kind of guide them through the process, through that bureaucracy, help them navigate the VA maze. I worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs for a little over a year, and then I took a job at the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County, right across the street from the Chicago VA Regional Office and the Juvenile Temporary Detention Center on South Hamilton. So just across the street, not a big jump, not a big change in my commute. But ever since I've been working as a Veterans Service Officer, I've always referred people over to the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County if they needed, immediate financial assistance, because even though the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County has been around since 1936, it's had a pretty limited budget for the majority of that time, and they really would only help veterans who needed help with their mortgage, with their bills, with food, hygiene, all of that stuff. But the good news is that about a year ago, the budget was increased because the way that the law was written, the Veterans Assistance Commissions need to get at least like 0.01% of all the assessed value of the county for their budget, and that was never happening at the Veterans Assistance Commission. But a lawsuit forced the office to be funded properly, and now we have the funds to expand our services beyond just emergency financial services. I came aboard in March because we're building a Veterans Service Officer program. Me and Justina Berry, who was a high-ranking official at the Department of Veterans Affairs, are putting together a Veterans Service Officer program. We're currently hiring Veterans Service Officers, and the goal ultimately is to place a Veterans Service Officer in each of the 17 commissioner districts in Cook County. Currently, Cook County has a little shy of about 150,000 veterans, and the goal is to put a service officer in each of the 17 commissioner districts so that no veteran can say, well, I can't make it to the VA regional office to file a claim for benefits, or there are no other veteran service officers that are, within the vicinity of where I live. And so we're not there yet, but we're getting the budget to expand so that we can ultimately have 17 veteran service officers. We're going to have locations at 69 West Washington. We're going to put an office in Rolling Meadows. We're going to have one at Jesse Brown and Hines. We're looking to open up an office at UIC. So we're really expanding our presence, and the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County, like I said, we have an emergency financial assistance program. So if you've been a resident of Cook County for 6 months or longer, and you make under 325% of the federal poverty threshold, then you're qualified to receive emergency financial services from our office. Again, we have, work uniforms, burial benefits, hygiene cards, food cards. We can help with rent and mortgage and all kinds of stuff. And like I said, we're building a veteran service officer program so that we can help veterans file for disability compensation and pension benefits and other VA benefits and help, surviving spouses. And we also are expanding and creating an outreach team to do events like this, to get the word out that we're a resource that veterans in Cook County can use to, again, help with bills or help navigate their VA claim or their VA appeal. And that's key, especially in these current times, because with the government shutdown, the public contact team at the VA can no longer help veterans file for benefits. So if you need help, that resource has been taken away from you. So kind of the workaround is to come see our office, the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County. We can help you file the claim, because even though the public contact team has been furloughed, the VA is still working. They're just not getting paid. You got the healthcare side of the VA, they're still working, not getting paid. You got the benefit side of the VA, they're still developing claims, but the public contact team has been furloughed. So if you need help, filing a claim or filing an appeal, they're not there for you, but we are. And we really want to get that message out there, because I think we're on day 18 or something of the government shutdown, and a lot of veterans don't know that there are resources out there that can help you file VA claims even when the government is shut down. So that's one of the key things that I wanted to put out there, is that we're a resource that can help in these difficult times where valuable VA resources have been taken away due to lack of funding at the congressional level. So again, veteran service officers, we can help vets file for VA disability compensation. For older veterans who may be in need of assisted living or nursing home levels of care, we can help you file for a benefit called non-service connected VA disability pension. We can connect you with other resources like the medical foster home program. There's the state VA homes like Manteno and LaSalle and Anna, and they just built one a couple years ago here in Chicago. There's the VA caregiver program. There's domiciliary care. There's a lot of benefits out there that are specific to older veterans. A lot of older veterans are served in Vietnam, and there's a whole host of disabilities that are presumptive to exposure to Agent Orange, and so we file a lot of claims for presumptive conditions. If you're treated for something in service and you still suffer residuals of that disease or injury today, we help file for direct service connection. There's a lot of different ways to receive benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs, but a lot of times you're just not going to know about them until you talk to someone like myself, a veteran service officer who's been reading VA decisions for the past 15 years. So again, my name's Derek Giffen. I'm a veteran service officer with the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County, and the primary thing that I wanted to put out there today is that even with the government shutdown, there are resources available to still help you with your VA claim. Thank you.
We want to take this time to thank workers who are furloughed and not getting paid to do their job, right? And they are still out here dedicated to help, and we really appreciate that. I was sharing with Mr. Giffen that I have my father's dog tag. He was in the Army, World War II. And I was telling him, I've been carrying this dog tag since he passed in 1974. And I still have it, and that's so precious to me. So, and then I asked him, I said, what do these numbers mean? Because I never knew what all the numbers meant on it. So he shared that with me, so thank you. At this time, though, we want to ask all veterans to stand. Male and female, all veterans, please stand. We want to honor you. We want to honor you and thank you for your service. Remain standing, please. We have something for you. Remain standing. All veterans, remain standing. All right, give them another round of applause. I'm going to say, pay close attention. I know you've been already, but Ms. Ferguson, she's going to share information about what's coming down the pipe with SNAP and other public benefits. Because of this administration, current administration, it is very challenging for a lot of families. So, Ms. Ferguson, I'm going to let you have the floor.
My name is Ruthie Ferguson, and I'm the Senior Director of Community Engagement at the Greater Chicago Food Depository. I wish I was coming to you under different context. However, today I'm here to share some very dramatic changes to the SNAP link or food stamp program that are going to have some immediate impacts for folks in this room and probably some of your loved ones or other spaces. And so I just want to walk through that and name that this is heavy. So I want to offer that. I'm here to answer questions. There are a lot of unknowns. I also have my card, so preemptively saying that if you have other spaces that would be helpful for someone from the food depository to come explain these changes, we are here to do that. So in July, a bill was passed that's called the Big Beautiful Bill, that, holding space for that, that makes a lot of dramatic changes to many programs, but I'm here to focus on SNAP. And before I start to talk about the changes to SNAP, I think what's also important to acknowledge is that the food depository is seeing visits to our pantries at the same levels that we were seeing them at in the pandemic. 1 in 5 households in Cook County are facing food insecurity, and then that becomes 1 in 4 households if you have a child in the household. So we're already seeing ridiculously high levels of food insecurity, and these changes to SNAP are going to make that even worse. In this bill, there are a lot of changes to the program, but I want to focus on 2 things. The first thing is something that's going to happen in the future, but that we need to be aware of it now. Previously, the federal government paid for all of the benefits, so all the benefits that folks would receive on their EBT card, the federal government would give that funding. In this bill, they changed that cost share where the state of Illinois is going to have to pay for a lot of those benefits. As early as October 2027, it's expected that the state of Illinois is going to have to find $800 million to keep the SNAP program intact. What does that mean? That if the state does not find that $800 million, we will lose the SNAP program in the state of Illinois. That is in October 2027. What is beautiful is I know Chicago is resilient, I know Illinois is resilient, and so we are going to lift our voices to advocate to find some solutions. And so I want to put that in front of you now and offer, and we'll talk about what some action items look like, but there's going to be a moment where we're going to need to advocate and push the state to think creatively. They are being a phenomenal partner. We are lucky to be in a state that is supportive of SNAP and cares a lot about SNAP, but there's going to be an advocacy moment that we need. And so I want to plant that seed. And I think a lot of people did not realize that, even elected officials did not realize that we are at risk of losing the SNAP program when we're seeing some of the highest rates of food insecurity in Chicago in particular. So that feels future, but I just want to name that, and that's something that's coming down the pipeline. What is most important and quite scary is change in work reporting requirements. So like I mentioned, we live in a state that's incredibly supportive of the SNAP program, which means that prior to this bill, we had a waiver that prevented us from reporting work requirements in a way that other states require. So you might have heard that some other states, you have to kind of be up to date if you're unemployed or you aren't in a workforce program or other things like that, you might lose your benefits. We had a waiver. This new bill prevents that waiver. And so starting November 1st, certain populations are going to receive, and I'm going to walk through what that eligibility looks like, but certain folks are going to receive letters in the mail saying you now have to update your work reporting requirements. And then that first month where you have to make sure that you're meeting work requirements is December 1st. I'm going to walk through what all of this means, but it means that there's a potential impact that March 1st, all of our able-bodied adults, that's the language that they use in SNAP, that some people who are not meeting work requirements will fall off the program and no longer have SNAP. So I'm going to walk through what that looks like because this is where it gets frightening. Before there were a lot more exemptions, but those exemptions have shifted. So before, if you were over 60 or over 55, you were kind of exempt from work reporting requirements. They elevated that age to 64. Additionally, they changed what it meant to have a child in the household. So if you have a kiddo in the household that's 14 or over, you're expected to meet those work reporting requirements. I know, I'm like, have you witnessed a 16-year-old? And then for veterans, they also waive those requirements. There's a longer list of where those requirements kind of are waived, but I want to call out those three populations in particular. What this means is that it is expected that you are working or volunteering at about 80 hours per month, about 20 hours per week. This is coded in racism, right? And so I just want to name that. And the expectation to volunteer when you're unemployed is an unfair expectation, but that is an option to make sure that you're meeting those requirements. So how this works is if you are one of those categories that are required to work, you're going to have to input that you're doing those work reporting requirements. Let's say in December I was unemployed and I didn't meet those requirements. That's strike one. Let's say I still don't find a job, I'm still not volunteering, I'm not in a workforce training program in January, that's strike two. Let's say I'm in the same situation in March, that is strike three. They will kick me off the program after that until I meet those requirements. And I will be kicked off the program for 3 years. But if I start volunteering, or if I get a job, or if I'm in a work training program, I can come back on the program. Right? The wonderful woman next to me just said, but how do you get money? That's a great question, right? So I want to say that I'm not in alignment with these recommendations. I do not think that if folks are unemployed, they should be volunteering. I think there's probably some other ways you should be spending your time. But these are the changes coming down the pipeline. The last thing I want to name, and I don't want to put a lot of fear in the room, but a lot of states have received messaging because of the government shutdown, that in the mix of all of this, so unrelated to the big beautiful bill, but because of government shutdown, the federal government may not pay for SNAP benefits come November. So there is a world in which folks who are expecting to receive SNAP in November might not receive it. This is heavy. So a few things I just want to share with you to think about the power of SNAP, and then I will pause and open up for questions, and then probably just share what some of the next steps are, is that SNAP is incredibly impactful. I work at the food bank in Chicago, which helps distribute food to our 800 partners across the city, so that way folks can receive access to it. The food bank provides 1 meal for every 9 that SNAP provides. So that means me participating in SNAP, I can get 9 times more meals than I would get going to a food bank. So the food bank cannot replace SNAP. It is irreplaceable. What is most important is that the grocery stores that we are fighting to keep in a lot of community areas rely on SNAP. So for every dollar spent on SNAP, $1.25 or $1.25 goes into our economy. It is an economic multiplier. So this does not just impact hungry people. This is going to impact our economy. This is going to impact retail. This is going to impact craft foods and other consumer packaged goods. Like there's a larger impact here. So what do we do in this moment? First and foremost, if you are participating in SNAP or not participating in SNAP, the program is not gone. So there are still resources. I have lots of flyers back here. where you can get connected to a benefits enroller who can help you walk through this complicated application and all of the changes, so that way you aren't memorizing things. And so they can help you kind of walk through that. The second piece is I want you to share this information with people that you love and you care for, that would benefit from being aware about this. I also have my card, so if you're connected to other spaces where it's helpful for us to share this presentation and get the word out, or if there's a time that a benefits enroller would be helpful to have folks navigate, we have an enrollment team that can come in person and do that as well. And then if you are feeling charged up like I am and want to be able to give a presentation like this to the people that you care about, we have what's called a Speakers Bureau training, where you can be trained to understand these changes and be a liaison to your family, community, loved ones to explain these changes. So I will stop there. Again, like I said, I wish I was coming under happier context, but these are the changes coming down the pipeline.
We're now gonna go into our Q&A session.
So you said, after strat number 3,
Yes, ma'am.
you would be kicked off the program and you would be off for 3 years. So, and then you said, if you got a job or volunteered,
Then you could come back on.
Is that within the 3 years? Do you
Yeah,
have to
so this is so confusing, right?
Yeah, do you have to,
It's
do you have to
confusing.
wait 3 years before you can go back?
No, so let's say I stayed unemployed for 3 years.
Yes.
And I didn't volunteer for 3 years, and I didn't join a workforce program for 3 years.
Yes.
I would not be able to participate in the program. But if I start volunteering for 20 hours a week, or I get employed, or I join a work training program, then I can come back on.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Does this include for people who are on disability as well? Or
Yep, so there are still some exemptions, and the state is figuring out a lot of those exemptions in real time. So if you have been deemed eligible to not work, you are exempt from these work reporting requirements.
okay,
But that's why I want to say, this is why the benefits enrollment hotline is so helpful, because I want to make sure that you have someone that's going through your case specifically and understanding if you're eligible for exemptions. And like I said, we work in a state, we live in a state where they're thinking creatively about how to support folks through this. And so there might be some exemptions that I don't have listed right now that are coming down that will be helpful for you to be applicable for. And that's the same thing with the 3-year requirement. Let's say you're unemployed, you were getting workers' comp and you're in the process of applying for saying that I have a disability that prevents me from working. If you then fit in that category saying I'm exempt from working and so I'm exempt, then you can re-enroll in the program.
I heard on the news this morning that November 1st, when the SNAP is cut, even if you got SNAP on your card from October, you're not able to use it. The federal government cutting all the machines off. Is that accurate? It was on Channel 7 News this morning and last night.
So my understanding is each state has different software on how they're administering their benefits. So it's not like the White House has a big button that can just cut off the SNAP program. I think it's gonna vary by state. And states just found out about this, I think yesterday. So I cannot give you a definitive answer. What I would offer, and this is maybe personal advice, right? But think strategically about how you're using your benefits right now in case they are cut off next month. And so think about what staple goods you could stock up on, what are freezer safe foods, other things like that. So that way, if you need to go to a pantry or go to the grocery store, you can supplement some items. I just want to name that coming out of my mouth feels absolutely terrible. And so that is not guidance that I want to be offering, but just saying in this moment, how do we think strategically with the resources that we have while the state and other partners figure out how to navigate this moment.
My question is, in order to receive SNAP benefits, are all of the individuals below the poverty level?
No, you do not have to be below the poverty line.
Okay, because my comment was, I know there are many families who may not be under the poverty level who experience food insecurity.
100%.
Thank
And that there, I know that it can be frustrating doing the whole application for SNAP and getting a small amount of money right from SNAP. I know that change has happened, But remember that the food bank can only provide 1 meal for every 9 that SNAP can. And so even though all these changes are happening, this is still an incredibly valuable program. And so there is no shame in participating in the benefits. And so do not hesitate to apply and receive them if you think you're eligible. And if you're confused about eligibility and you're not sure if you require, if you're applicable, our benefits enrollment line is here to support you in navigating that.
Good morning. I just have a question. So if you are a parent that has a child 7, 9, and 12, what are the requirements for them? Do they still have to look for work or volunteer?
You would be exempt, but let's say the youngest child in your household was turning 14 January 1st. Then January 1st, you would have to start working, volunteering, or participating in a work program.
I have a 17-year-old granddaughter, and from what I heard you say, she needs to start working.
At 18, she would. Now, if she's in your household and you're reporting her as on your benefits,
Exactly.
and you are under 64,
Yes, I
then
am.
you would have to be working.
She will, or I will.
You would.
Yeah, I am.
And then as soon as she turns 18,
Okay, good. And I think Dr. Brady had asked a question I want to hear about. After 3 years, you get back on the program if you qualify.
yeah, so this one is so confusing, and I've been practicing how to explain this, and every time it becomes confusing. Essentially, within a 3-year period, you have 3 strikes to not meet the work reporting requirements. If you do not meet those work reporting requirements at the 3rd strike, you will be kicked off the program until you are meeting them or are exempt from them. So let's walk through an example. And I think there's like real-time examples that folks that are hard to wrap your mind around. Let's say I'm a gig worker and I drive Uber, and I don't meet the hour requirements 1 month, then I don't meet them another month, and then I don't meet them a 3rd month. Until I meet those hour requirements again, I will not be able to participate in the program. And you have 3 strikes per 3-year period. I also want to call out that yes, we are in a resourceful state, and we're going to have to think creatively. And as I mentioned, food security and poverty are higher than they should be in the United States of America. And so we need to make sure that the state is also not cutting other important programs to exacerbate the state of food insecurity and poverty. And so I want to offer that and get us charged up to lift our voices when the time is right.
Thank you.
Is there an age top, a senior citizen can be 80? They still into this program
After 64,
after 64?
After 64, you no longer have to meet the work reporting requirements. So you can still participate in SNAP. You just don't have to meet those work reporting requirements.
Thank you.
Do you have in the South Suburban area, because I know you talked about your great center over on the Southeast side, but I live in the South Suburbs, and I have yet to find a senior center in my area. So I was wondering, do you have that information that,
So is it still Cook County?
Yes.
Yes, so we can connect you with Age Options. Age Option provides senior services for suburban Cook County area.
Okay. And then for Ruby, what you said about caregivers helping with, like say their parents or whatever, is there services for them? I don't know if that goes to Alicia or for you.
Alicia will be able to speak about the services for
So
caregivers.
what was the question again about caregivers?
If there's somebody taking care of their parent,
Loved one, yes.
yeah, that they're doing.
Do they reside in the city of Chicago?
No, they
Okay.
live in the.
So one of the things, I just want to be clear, even though you live in the suburbs, you still can participate in the programs and activities at any one of the senior centers. You do not have to be a city resident to partake in the programs, activities at any one of the 21 senior centers. You could be a member. The requirement is only that you're 60 or older.
Okay.
The satellite centers, you can be 55 and older. For the direct services, like home delivered meals, caregiver services, homemaker services, you do need to be a city resident because it's a city program providing city services to city residents.
Okay.
So for that particular situation, if they're living outside of the city of Chicago, Cook County areas, Age Options, outside of Cook County, got elder locators. So get you connected with those services.
Okay.
I know you said one of the action items was that we can tell and, spread the word, but outside of that,
those of us who may be a little more, not using SNAP, but have a little more disposable income, what can we do?
Yeah, so this is gonna be the moment to lift our voices. One, you can sign up for the Food Depositories Action Alerts where you can receive updates on what's happening in real time. And then the next thing that we're offering is doing the Speakers Bureau training where you can learn this information and be able to share it with other folks. Right now, there's not a clear action item in terms of like, call your senator right this moment to say to do something. But there is a future state where that could happen and that will want you connected and plugged in there. Additionally, this is where it's hard, but if it feels helpful to volunteer or donate money or other things like that where you want to help prevent food insecurity for folks who are falling off the program, that is also available to you. But I think the big thing is building awareness for those around you and then being ready to advocate when there is that moment. I know it's hard, it feels helpless because there's not, right, you're watching a program fall apart. And I even feel helpless in this moment of, I can get the word out, we can make sure you're enrolled, and then we have to fight the good fight in between.
And then my thing to what Ricky kind of mentioned, my concern is that the governor may have to cut other services or, okay, you're not messing with this man, to fund the SNAP.
Yeah.
Then what happens to the others? Because something has to give, especially when they're talking about not increasing property taxes and other things. So, that's my concern.
There are a lot of really smart policy folks that are thinking creatively for other sources of income. I will not share my political beliefs, but I think that there are some very wealthy people in this state that could maybe pay a little bit more in taxes and that could shift things. But that's my personal opinion. So we'll leave that there.
I like the bottom line when it comes to cost.
Yeah.
When you mention cleaning services cost and things removed from your home, I know you all know I have some stuff. Is there a limit on what your total household income has to be before that can happen?
So some of the programs are income-based and then majority of them is based off your assets. So for that particular referral, I definitely would advise to see one of our information assistance coordinators so that they can better assist you and give you more details on what those requirements may be. Again, some services the City of Chicago does not provide the direct services. We just take the referrals in for the services that you are inquiring about. And then there are delegate agencies that provide those particular services. But to Ms. Ferguson's point, it's all with budget. It's all with funding. So again, we are a government entity. Everything is, even though funding comes from the state, majority of it comes from the federal, but at the end of the day, it all comes from the government, right? And so we are too looking at cuts. Like Mr. Derrick said, his staff is being cut. I lost 7 staff members that was a part of a Title V program because the lack of funding, which our government has created this volunteer program. Instead of them receiving a stipend for job training program, that they should volunteer under a program called MASSA, Making America Skilled Again. And so the biggest concern is that how do people utilize funds to get back and forth to the location? How can you volunteer when you're already in a deficit of income? So I have wonderful volunteers that is a part of this program, and they're still coming, but there are some that's saying like, Alicia, I love to volunteer, but I just don't have the means to pay to get on the bus or to pay for PACE to be able to come back and forth. That's $6.50 a day. That adds up. And so we also know that food prices have increased. So the dollar is not stretching as much as it used to. And then for our particular center, we partnered with Greater Chicago Food Depository, yes. And we passed out food vouchers. Last year it was $50 for the vouchers. This year, it was reduced to $25. And so we're seeing those opportunities and benefits decrease. And so one of the great things is that we have an amazing deputy commissioner that is very resourceful, very creative. So we built a relationship with Meals on Wheels, who went out and did fundraising, and then they brought in a pop-up farmers market from, I believe, was it March until August? It could have been before then. So that was an opportunity for our older adults. We started off at 200 and increased to 250. By the time we ended in July, we were serving over 300 people with fresh produce. And then we partnered with Top Box Food Services. And so they were bringing in fresh produce, dairy products, and then protein items as well. And we served, it was days that we had to turn people away. When I say our community was coming out because it's a need. You have grocery stores that's closing. You have pharmacies that's closing. So when we think about trying to better serve our older adults, we're in that baby boomer kind of sort of era where we have more people to serve with the same budget. Prices are increasing, and we're trying to stretch it to serve a multitude of people without a lot of extra benefits or support from our government. And so I think we're at that place where we do have to advocate. We do have to make sure that our elected officials are very aware of what the needs of the community is, and be able to voice and be able to make sure that we're utilizing those services. It's not a lack of resources, sometimes it's a lack of communication and awareness about the resources that's available. And so hopefully we're able to resume those services to be able to connect, but we also have SNAP coordinators at our center. So if you're, need to stop by the center and be able to connect with them as well, we have a coordinator that's on site. But I would love to have you come out and give this information as well to our seniors. Okay.
I'd just like to say, as Alicia stated, their budget has been cut. She's the regional director, and she chose to come out here and give us this information. And we have a partner back there.
Yes.
Right? We really appreciate it. This is really
Definitely. Listen, we are very creative of bringing in resources. Mr. Victor, just wave your hand. I actually met him almost 3 years ago at an outreach event, and he has been one of the best things that happened to our center. And so he is out with me. He is one of our volunteers. You would think that he worked just as hard as me, if not sometimes harder. And so I am just so appreciative, but he was a part of that Title V program. And so when you see people that is invested into what we're doing, and then, you always want to compensate. And so we are just grateful to have volunteers. And if you all are interested in volunteering or ever come across this situation that she's speaking about, we will offer a volunteer opportunity at the center so that you will not be in a situation where you don't have your volunteer hours. Yes.
Where is the southeast
The Southeast Alley Senior Center, the best senior center on the southeast side of Chicago. And so I always say that all of our centers are wonderful. They're unique in their own way in the community that we serve, but it is the only regional center on the southeast side of Chicago. It is located at 1767 East 79th Street. So right at the light of 79th and Creekier.
I know it exactly where it is. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. And be mindful that hours have changed, so we're only open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30.
I would like to know, do you all have services for people when they're picking Medicare plans and things about that?
Yes, that is the SHIP program, Senior Health Insurance Program. And so it is appointment based, and then I can give you the information where you call a senior service hotline or send an email so you can set up an appointment, because Medicare is very complex. And I'm sure there has been a lot of changes for this open enrollment season, which will be, is it started already? It's October 15th, I believe, yes. And so we definitely have SHIP counselors as well.
And for folks who maybe don't need that support, but just need general Medicaid support, our benefits enrollment line also supports with Medicaid enrollment.
I'd like to know, did I hear you right when you said that $800 million, is that for every state, every 50th state? Or is just Illinois that's singling out for the $800 million?
So it depends on the state. And the way that they're doing it is going to be very confusing, so I'm going to try and explain it in a succinct way. They have made a title that's called a payment error rate, which makes it sound like we're paying people too much, but really what that is administrative errors that kind of happen across the board. And depending on where those administrative errors, so that could be like, I put my address in wrong and I didn't update it, or the state underpaid me and that wasn't corrected. Depending on that percentage of your error rate is how much you're gonna have to pay. And so if you get under 6% of the error rate, you would not have to pay at all. But the states that you can imagine that are like under 6% are like South Dakota or Vermont, not the Californias, the New Yorks, the Illinois, where there's 2 million plus people participating on the program.
It seems to me that they are punishing the blue states and the red states who sign on to this not being punished. And there are people there, there are people there in the red states that are starving and then have more difficulties in trying to feed their families or even find a job than the people in the blue states. And while their elected officials will go on to this beautiful bill, it's hard for me to find in my mind that sometimes people vote in their best interests, and sometimes they don't vote in their best interests. And here's a fact that really disturbs me. They're asking everybody to make a sacrifice, and they're taking away jobs, federal jobs, government jobs from the state and everything. But the people who are officials or the elected officials, they're still getting the salary.
What I will offer, especially with SNAP changes, is a lot of this messaging is coded as though people are abusing the program. When in reality, most of the abuse happens at the vendor level and not at the participant level. And so it's important to share with our community, because that's even a misnomer within our community, that the abuse is not happening at our level and that it is a beneficial program. So I love that you elevated that. Red states are going to be impacted by this as well. There are only, I want to say, about 6 states that would not have to pay the cost to maintain the program. But there's this assumption that people are sitting on their couch and not working, and we know that that's not true.
That $800 million, is that for each entity? I work for the state of Illinois in DCFS.
Yeah.
And I know, I've heard that there are going to be cuts next year, but the whole $800 million, is that for each entity of the state, or is that just for?
It's not for the whole department, so for DHS would have to pay $800 million. It would come from the governor's office, and then that department that administers the program would have to have $800 million to keep the program intact, as it is.
I also heard that there would be cuts in DCFS as well.
Probably related to a lot of other things that come out of, like, I didn't even touch on Medicaid or other pieces that are impacted by this big, beautiful bill. I'm focused, and I'm not well versed in all of those changes. Medicaid is gonna have work reporting requirements. They are not implemented immediately. What a time.
Yes, Felicia, I was gonna ask you, you guys still doing the free bus passes at the center? And I know it used to be you guys did so many a day.
So we do have the benefit access program. The service hours are from 9 to 1 and then from 2 to 4. And so on site we have our information assistant representative, and normally as people come in, we haven't really had to turn people away unless maybe we just didn't have coverage for that particular day. And so they have changed the program some. So like the replacement or reapplying, it used to be every 2 years for the free bus card. Now they've extended to 5 years. And then the replacement cards, there's no longer a fee. So if you need a replacement card, it's free of charge. And we have RTA right on site to be able to assist as well.
Okay.
Now, but for the Illinois license plate sticker, you still have to renew your application every 2 years.
Okay. Okay, I just want to double check. I know for a while you guys wasn't doing the program. You had to call in.
Yes.
Did everything. You know.
We resume, we have staff on site that can assist. And you can always do it over the phone as well with our senior service hotline number as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
So it's 312, the hotline number is 312-744-4016. 312-744-4016. Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30.
And I have a question in regards to our veterans who are homeless and who are in the streets with nowhere to go. The Jesse VA Vet Center on Douglas in Ogden is real helpful, and I believe the Big Ugly Beautiful Bill is going to cut some of that out as well. The institutions, the mental institutions that was closed down by Governor Rauner, I believe, I wonder if any of those are going to be reopened for the homeless veterans who are out here with nowhere to go.
Well, do keep in mind that when it comes to serving veterans, you have different levels. You got assistance at the federal level, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and obviously the shutdown is affecting them severely, but you also have assistance at the state level, you have assistance at the county level, you have assistance at the 501c3 fraternal organization level. So if you're a veteran in need, you can reach out to fraternal organizations like DAV or the VFW or the American Legion or AMVETS. I currently work at the county level, the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County, and like I said, due to a recent lawsuit, our budget has increased pretty dramatically, so we have a lot of emergency financial assistance. Like I mentioned, we're putting together a VSO program to help veterans navigate the VA. You also have benefits at the state level. You got the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, which is a state agency, and they have veteran service officers to help you get benefits. They have benefits that are specific only to the state. They also administer a lot of the VA state nursing homes, like the one at Manteno and Anna, LaSalle, Chicago. So you gotta kind of have an understanding of the different levels of assistance when it comes to helping veterans, helping homeless veterans. You got the fraternal organizations, county, state, federal, explore them all. Reach out to every single senator has a veteran liaison. Your congressperson has a veteran liaison. So you really have to do your due diligence in seeking out all the different resources, unfortunately.
Alicia, have you heard any information about purchasing the vacant properties for little or nothing? Have you heard about that information?
So usually you either can go to your alderman's office or on the city website about the vacant lots. You'll put in like your address and then it'll show like the vacant lots that's available for sale. Shyblock Builder.
That's the name of the website. It's shyblockbuilder.
Can you spell that for me?
Shy, like Chicago, CHI, block builder. And the city will release a series of application periods for different approaches. So like there was one for urban ag, there was one for other things like that.
Okay, thank you so much.
I am the surviving spouse of a veteran, and I would like to know what are a few benefits that are available to surviving spouses of military veterans?
Well, when it comes to benefits for veterans, the two primary ones are disability compensation and VA pension, and that's the same is true for surviving spouses. They're also eligible for these two primary benefits. They just look a little different. For surviving spouses, the compensation benefit is a benefit called dependency and indemnity compensation. So if the veteran passed away of a service-connected condition, or the veteran was rated 100% service-connected permanent total by the VA for 10 years prior to passing, then the surviving spouse would be eligible for that compensation benefit. Again, it's called a dependency and indemnity compensation, or DIC for short, but it's about $1,600 a month, tax-free, and there are some secondary or ancillary benefits that come along with that entitlement. You could get free health care through the VA system through a benefit called CHAMP VA. There are education benefits that you could get through a benefit called Dependents Educational Assistance. And then with that grant of monthly compensation, you're also exempt from paying property tax on your home. And then in terms of the pension benefits for surviving spouses, it's an income-based benefit that you also calculate assets and medical expenses, but it's overwhelmingly a benefit that's utilized by surviving spouses that are in need of assisted living or nursing home levels of care. And this benefit takes care of all of the recurring unreimbursed medical expenses that are inherent with being in an assisted living or nursing home situation. We all know how expensive that is. So that benefit essentially gives the surviving spouse an income floor that they can't go below while keeping them in that assisted living or nursing home facility. So those are the two primary benefits that are eligible for surviving spouses. And so if you, to be eligible, the veteran would need to serve at least 1 day during a wartime period. So if you're a surviving spouse and you feel you may be eligible for either pension or compensation, and you need a little bit more specifics about entitlement and eligibility and all of that, I would encourage you to talk to me. I have that table in the corner there, the green one that says Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County. Take my business card, shoot me a phone call or an email, and we can talk about individual eligibility because, every single claim is different.
Thank you so very much.
No worries.